Hello, friends. About 99% of friends who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I would be very happy if you did. Also, don't forget to press the like button and leave your comments. Your interaction makes the content reach everyone and helps the channel grow. Also, let me know in the comments from which country you are watching the video. You ever hear a grown man cry in the middle of a pitch-black highway with nothing but his headlights and the sound of his own heartbeat pounding his ears? I ain't proud of it, but that was me one night about 3 years ago, and I swear to God I still get chills thinking about what I saw out there. I've been driving trucks for 26 years now, hauled everything from frozen meats to flammable liquids, but nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the kind of evil that can creep up on you when you're rolling solo at 3 in the morning. This ain't no made-up campfire story, and I sure as hell ain't tell it for kicks. I'm telling you because maybe, just maybe, if you ever find yourself out on a lonely stretch of highway like I did, you'll think twice about stopping when you see something you can't explain. That night started like any other. I was heading east on Highway 54, dead tired but pushing through because the load had to make it to Oklahoma City before sunup. The CB was quiet, no chatter, and the road was emptier than usual. I had the radio low, playing some old country tune, and my thermos of coffee had gone cold. Somewhere between Tucumcari and Guyman, my headlights caught movement on the shoulder. At first, I thought it was a deer or maybe a hitchhiker, but as I got closer, I saw it was a woman in a tattered white dress, barefoot, standing there like she'd been waiting for me. She raised her hand slow, like she wanted me to stop, and against my better judgment, I tapped the brakes and started easing onto the shoulder. The air felt heavier, like the weight of 1,000 eyes was suddenly on me, and every instinct in my body screamed to keep driving. But I'm a decent guy. I wasn't about to leave someone stranded in the middle of nowhere. When I rolled down the window to ask if she was all right, her face, Jesus, her face, it didn't look right. Her eyes were too dark, too deep, like two black pits that seemed to pull the light out of a cab. Her skin was pale, almost grayish, and her lips moved but no sound came out. I leaned out a little, my stomach twisting up in knots, and said louder, "Ma'am, you need help." That's when she let out this sound, a low, guttural growl that turned into a piercing scream. My blood ran cold. I slammed the window shut and punched the gas so hard I nearly jackknifed it. My rig roared back onto the asphalt, and I didn't dare look in the mirrors. But even as I sped off, I swear I could feel her eyes boring into the back of my skull, like she was sitting in the sleeper cab grinning at me. I told myself it was exhaustion, that I'd been on the road too long, but deep down I knew better. That was just the beginning. A few miles later, my CB crackled to life with static. No voices, just this faint whispering sound, like a crowd of people murmuring all at once. I reached the knob to turn it off, but then a voice, clear as day, said my name. Frank, it hissed, drawn out and cold. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I hadn't told a soul where I was that night, and yet there it was. My name on the airwaves, spoken in a voice I swear I'd heard before but couldn't place. I switched off the CB, turned off the radio, but the whispering didn't stop. It filled the cab, bouncing off the windows, coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. "You shouldn't have stopped," it said, and the wheel vibrated under my hands like I'd hit rumble strips, though I was dead center in the lane. I gripped tighter, sweat pouring down my neck, and pressed harder on the pedal, praying I'd make it to the next truck stop. But no matter how far I drove, the mile markers weren't changing. It was like I was stuck in some kind of loop. Marker 237 came up once, then again, then a third time. My GPS started spinning like it couldn't find a signal, and my headlights seemed dimmer, barely cutting through a fog that had rolled in out of nowhere. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw her again. Same woman, same dress, standing right on the shoulder. Only this time she was smiling. And Lord help me, I swear her smile stretched wider than any human mouth should. I gritted my teeth and kept driving, but then, bang! Something hit the side of my trailer hard enough to rock the whole rig. I checked my mirrors, knuckles white on the wheel, and that's when I saw a hand slap against the glass on the passenger side. Long, spindly fingers dragged down slow, leaving streaks that looked like they were burning into the glass. My breath caught in my throat. There was no one in the cab. I hadn't picked anyone up, but I could hear breathing. Right behind me. I didn't dare turn around. My whole body was locked up tighter than a rusted lug nut, and every hair on my neck stood on end. The breathing behind me was slow, deliberate, like whoever or whatever it was wanting me to know it was there. My fingers dug into the wheel. So hard, I thought I'd snap it in two. I kept my eyes straight ahead, focused on the yellow lines whipping by. But out of the corner of my vision, I saw movement in the sleeper cab. A shadow shifting, too big to be human. I wanted to scream, but my throat felt like it had been stuffed with cotton. Then came a sound I'll never forget, nails long and sharp, scraping across the metal floor. Slow at first, then faster, like it was crawling toward me. I could smell it now, too, a sour stench like rotting meat mixed with damp earth. My chest felt tight, and I whispered to myself, "Just a few more miles, Frank. You can make it. Just a few more miles." But deep down, I knew there weren't any miles left. I'd been driving past the same damn mile marker for what felt like hours, and the fog outside was so thick, now it was like plowing through milk. The road ahead vanished into it, and my headlights barely pushed it back an inch. Then came a whisper right in my ear, so close I felt the hot, rancid breath against my skin. "You can't run from me." My heart slammed against my ribs. I risked a quick glance in the rearview mirror and saw two glowing eyes staring back at me from the darkness of the sleeper. They weren't human eyes. They were too big, too far apart, and burning like embers. I stomped the pedal to the floor, engine screaming in protest. But no matter how fast I went, I couldn't shake the feeling of those eyes following me, boring holes into my soul. The whispers turned into laughter. Low at first, then rising until it filled the whole cab. It wasn't just one voice now, it was dozens, maybe hundreds, all laughing in unison. My radio switched on by itself and blasted static, so loud it rattled my teeth. Over the noise, I heard my own voice come through the speakers. But it wasn't me. It was twisted, distorted, like something mocking me. "You shouldn't have stopped. Frank, you let her in." I slammed the radio off, but the voice kept talking, now coming from the CB, from the speakers and the doors, even from under the damn dashboard. "We're all here now. We'll ride with you forever." I swerved hard as a figure stepped into the road ahead, nearly losing control of the rig. It was her again, the woman in white, but this time her face was gone. Just smooth skin where her eyes, nose, and mouth should have been. She raised her hand and pointed right at me as I flew past. In the mirror, I saw her head snap to follow the truck, her neck twisting a full 180 degrees without breaking. That's when my headlights flickered and died. Total darkness swallowed me, the engine still roaring, but the world outside reduced to nothing. I fumbled for the high beams, for the fog lights. Hell, even the hazards. Nothing worked. The cab filled with cold, like I'd been plunged into a freezer. My breath came out in white puffs, and the windows frosted over from the inside. I couldn't see the road, couldn't hear anything except that damn breathing behind me getting closer. Then something cold and wet brushed the back of my neck. I lost it. I screamed and reached for my phone, thinking maybe I could use a flashlight, but the screen was cracked. Not like it had been dropped, more like fingers had dug into it and shattered the glass from the inside. The battery icon flashed red, 1%, then 0%, and the thing went dead. I was alone, blind, and surrounded by whatever had crawled into my rig. My foot stayed glued to the gas, praying for even a hint of light, a sign of another trucker, anything. And then, like a miracle, I saw it. A faint glow-up ahead cutting through the fog. It was a truck stop, lights buzzing weakly like they were struggling to stay lit. Relief washed over me, and I yanked the wheel toward the exit. The parking lot was empty except for a single semi parked at the far end, its cab dark. I rolled to a stop near the building and killed the engine. For a moment, The silence was deafening. No laughter, no whispers, no breathing. I exhaled shakily and grabbed the door handle, ready to bolt inside and call anyone, but as I opened the door, I froze. Every window of the truck stop was pitch black. The neon sign above the entrance flickered one last time and went out completely, plunging everything into darkness. I could feel it again, the presence. It hadn't stayed in the cab. It was out there now in the fog, waiting. I heard footsteps crunching gravel, slow and heavy, circling my rig. A hand slapped against the driver's side window, long fingers with nails like black talons. Then a voice, deep and hollow, whispered from every direction at once. "You let us ride, Frank. You'll never drive alone again." I didn't move. I couldn't. My hand stayed frozen on the door handle while my brain screamed at me to run, but my body felt like it was welded to the seat. Those fingers, those long, spindly fingers with nails like broken glass, scratched slow circles on the glass, making a sound that drilled straight into my skull. I could see them clearer now in the faint glow of my dash lights. They weren't hands at all. The skin was too thin, stretched tight over bone, and there were too many joints, like spiders' legs trying to mimic human form. My breath fogged up the inside of the windshield, and in that thin mist, I saw her face again. Not outside, not in the sleeper. Right there on the glass, like she was pressed against it from the other side. Hollow black sockets for eyes, a wide, gaping mouth stretched impossibly open, and that scream, God help me! That scream wasn't loud anymore, but a vibration under my skin, like it was inside me. I slammed the door shut and locked it, fumbling with the keys to fire the engine back up. Nothing, just a sad click like the battery was dead. I hit it again and again. Click, click, click. The scratching outside stopped. Dead silence. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might burst. Then I heard it. A whisper, so close it felt like it came from my own lips. "Look behind you, Frank." My blood turned to ice. I didn't want to. Every nerve in my body begged me not to, but my eyes betrayed me. In the mirror, I saw her, sitting in the passenger seat. Hair wet and stringy like she just crawled out of a lake, head tilted at a sharp angle, eyes wide and unblinking, lips curling into that impossible smile. "Drive," she hissed. My keys turned by themselves, the engine roaring to life. The rig jolted forward like something else had pressed the gas. I didn't touch the wheel, but it turned on its own, dragging me out of the lot and back onto the highway. The fog swallowed us whole. I couldn't see the road, couldn't even see the hood of my truck. All I saw were those hollow eyes staring from the passenger seat. "Where do you want to go?" I asked before I could stop myself, my voice shaking. Her smile widened. "Home." "Where's home?" I croaked. She didn't answer. The cab grew colder, frost creeping across the inside of the windshield. My breath came out in ragged clouds as I gripped the wheel, though I wasn't steering. The speedometer climbed past 60, 70, 80. The rig shuddered violently, tires squealing against the asphalt, but there was no sound of the engine anymore, just a low hum, like 1,000 voices murmuring in unison. "You let us in," they said together. "We're never leaving." Ahead, I saw lights. Headlights. A convoy of trucks coming the other way. Relief washed over me. Other drivers meant help. Maybe I could signal them. Maybe they'd see her, too. I flashed my high beams, but the lights kept coming, growing brighter and brighter until they blinded me. I squinted, and then my stomach dropped. The trucks weren't moving. They were suspended in midair, lined up across the highway like a wall of metal giants. Their headlights weren't real either. They were eyes, hundreds of them, staring down at me from the fog. The humming grew louder. The woman in white leaned closer, her breath cold against my ear. "You're almost there." "Almost where?" I shouted, but my voice was drowned out by the sound of the air horn blasting itself. The rig barreled forward, and I saw the road begin to ripple, like I was driving over water. The asphalt cracked, black tendrils reaching out from the fissures and curling around the tires. My hands burned as if the wheel had turned red hot, but I couldn't let go. The GPS screen blinked to life. Instead of a map, it showed a single word in blood-red letters. Welcome. I slammed on the brakes, but they were dead. The engine screamed like a living thing as the truck hurtled toward the wall of eyes. At the last second, the woman whispered, "You're one of us now." The rig hit the wall with a sound like the earth itself splitting open. I woke up parked neatly at a truck stop somewhere outside Amarillo. Sunlight poured through the windshield. Birds chirped. The engine was silent, cool to the touch. My logbook said I'd been stopped for 6 hours. I thought maybe it had been a nightmare. But then I saw it. A handprint on the inside of the passenger window. Long fingers. Black streaks where the nails had dragged down. And in my sleeper cab, a single white dress, wet and covered in dirt, folded neatly on my bunk. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I just sat there in the cab staring at that wet, filthy dress laid out on my bunk like some twisted gift. My hands trembled so bad, I thought the steering wheel might shake loose. I wanted to believe it was all a dream, a trick of exhaustion, but the smell told me otherwise. That same sour, earthy stench hung thick in the air. My coffee thermos sat in the cup holder, stone cold. The clock on the dash said 9:13 a.m., but my last memory was barreling toward that impossible wall of trucks. No, not trucks, eyes. Hundreds of burning eyes staring straight into my soul. I should have been dead. There shouldn't even be a rig left to sit in. I reached for my logbook again, flipping through the pages. Every stop, every route, every timestamp, exactly where they should have been, except for one new entry scribbled in handwriting that wasn't mine. A single line scrawled in jagged letters across the page. "You're one of us now. Keep driving." My throat went dry. I slammed the book shut and fumbled for my phone. No signal, not even a bar. My GPS was dead too. The screen cracked straight through the middle like a spiderweb. I thought about getting out, walking into the diner, asking if anyone had seen me pull in, but something in my gut screamed not to. I looked at the windows. The glass was clean, except for that one handprint. 5 long fingers. Nails that had left faint scratches in the glass. I reached out, touched it with a shaking finger. It was ice cold. I yanked my hand back. The smell of damp earth grew stronger. I swear I heard whispering again, soft, just beneath the sound of the idle engines of other trucks in the lot. "Frank." It hissed, drawn out and hollow. My heart pounded so loud I thought it might crack my ribs. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw movement in my side mirror. A man standing at the edge of the lot, facing me. He wore a trucker's cap pulled low over his face and a denim jacket stained with something dark. He didn't move, didn't wave, didn't even seem to breathe. Just stood there, watching. I blinked. Gone. The lot was empty again except for a few rigs parked haphazardly like their drivers had been in a hurry to get inside. I started the engine. It turned over instantly, rumbling to life like nothing had ever happened. For a moment, I thought about shutting it down, grabbing my bag, and walking away from this life for good. But then the voice came again, right behind my ear, soft and sweet like a lover's whisper. "Drive." My hands moved on their own, shifting gears, easing the rig out of the lot. I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop myself. It was like something had wrapped invisible hands around my wrists and ankles, guiding me back onto the highway. The sky above was cloudless, the sun bright, but the air felt wrong. Heavy, too still. No birds, no bugs, not even the distant hum of other vehicles. Just me and the open road. Mile marker 237 slid past. My stomach dropped. No, not again. I pressed harder on the gas, tires humming on the asphalt. Another mile marker. 2:37. My mouth went dry. I'd been here before. I knew I had. The cracked asphalt, the dead trees leaning over the road like they were trying to grab me. And then I saw her, standing on the shoulder in that same tattered white dress. Her head hung low, hair covering her face. As I passed, she raised her arms slowly, pointing at me with a finger that looked far too long. I kept driving, my knuckles whitened on the wheel. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. I muttered like a mantra. The rig's lights flickered, even though it was broad daylight. The radio popped on, static at first, then faint voices. You can't leave. Always driving. Never alone. I twisted the knob, but it wouldn't shut off. The voices grew louder, overlapping, dozens of them screaming and whispering at once. Then one voice cut through them all. Deep, hollow. Frank, do you remember the accident? My blood turned to ice. What accident? I shouted. Silence. Then laughter. Low at first, then rising into a deafening chorus that made the glass vibrate. My headlights flickered again, and the sky darkened unnaturally fast. One moment it was high noon. The next, it was pitch black like someone had dropped a curtain over the sun. My dash lights flared and died. Total darkness. I could hear them now. Dozens of footsteps scurrying outside the cab, claws scraping metal, fingers tapping on the doors. Something heavy landed on the roof of the trailer with a metallic thud. Another, and another. The whole rig shook as they crawled across it. Then a face appeared in the windshield, upside down, eyes burning like coals, a mouth too wide. Where do you think you're going, Frank? It hissed. I screamed and floored it, praying for an exit, a sign, anything. The road twisted unnaturally, impossible curves where there shouldn't have been any. I yanked the wheel, tires squealing. In the mirrors, I saw them following. Hundreds of pale figures running on all fours, their faces stretched into nightmarish grins. One leapt onto the rear of the trailer, its clawed hands punching through the metal as it crawled toward the cab. My breath came in ragged gasps. Wake up! Wake up! Please, God, let me wake up. But deep down, I knew I wasn't sleeping. This was real, and I couldn't escape. I was stuck on this road. I didn't know how long I had been driving. Minutes, hours, days maybe. Time didn't feel real anymore out here. The clock on the dash was stuck at 3:33. My fuel gauge hadn't moved either, and I swear I'd been flooring it since that thing's upside-down face appeared in my windshield. I wanted to stop, wanted to pull over and just run into the woods, even if it meant dying out there, but my hands wouldn't let go of the wheel. They weren't my hands anymore. The skin looked gray, veins dark and bulging, the nails sharp like claws digging grooves into the leather. I felt like a passenger in my own body. My mouth kept muttering the same words over and over in a voice that wasn't mine. Keep driving. Keep driving. Keep driving. The laughter outside had stopped, but now there was a sound like hundreds of fingernails scratching metal. I could feel it in the frame of the truck, reverberating all the way through my seat. I chanced a glance in the side mirror and saw them clinging to the trailer. Dozens of them, pale figures with two long limbs, their skin stretched tight over bone. Their mouths hung open in silent screams as their black eyes locked onto me. One of them slammed its hand on the side of the cab. Another crawled across the hood like a giant insect and pressed its face against the glass. Its teeth were like broken glass, and its tongue flicked out long and black, tasting the air in front of me. Almost home, Frank. It croaked in that same hollow voice. I wanted to cry, to scream, to do anything, but my body wouldn't let me. I couldn't even blink. The road twisted again, curling into a spiral like I was circling a drain. The yellow lines melted and shifted into strange symbols I couldn't understand. Then the radio hissed and popped. A voice came through, human this time. Breaker? Breaker, anyone out there? This is Big Joe out of Kansas City. Can anyone hear me? Jesus Christ, please tell me someone's out here. My heart leapt. I slammed my fist against the CB, managing to croak out, "Joe, Joe, this is Frank. I'm here." Static. Then his voice again, frantic. "Frank? Frank, you gotta listen to me, son. You're on the devil's highway. Don't stop for nothing. Don't look at them. Don't." The line cut out with a bone-rattling screech. "Joe! Joe!" I shouted, but there was no answer. Just more whispers, rising like a tide. "You'll never leave, never leave." The symbols on the road started glowing faint red, pulsing like a heartbeat. Then I saw lights up ahead. A gas station. Old, crumbling, with a flickering neon sign that read "Welcome Home." My rig slowed on its own as I pulled in, tires crunching gravel. The place was dead silent. No cars. No people. Just row after row of rusting pumps. I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to move. But my door creaked open by itself. Cold air rushed in, carrying that same sour stench. The voice whispered in my ear, "Go inside." My legs moved against my will. The gravel crunched under my boots as I stumbled toward the door. Inside, the air was even colder. Shelves were stocked with rotting food. Flies buzzed lazily around a puddle of something dark on the floor. A bell above the door jingled weakly as it swung shut behind me. Then I saw them. Truckers. Half a dozen of them sitting at the diner counter, their backs to me. They weren't moving. They weren't breathing. I took a step closer and froze. Their skin was gray and shriveled, their clothes rotting off their bones. One of them, a man in a plaid shirt, turned his head slowly toward me. His eyes were hollow sockets. His jaw creaked open and a deep, rasping voice came out. "We kept driving, Frank. Now we sit. Forever." The others turned too, their mouths opening wide in silent screams. The lights flickered. The air grew heavier. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, deliberate. I turned. She was there, the woman in white. Only now her dress was soaked red from the waist down. Her face had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, just smooth, pale skin. Yet somehow I could feel her grinning at me. Her hand shot out, fingers curling around my arm like iron. Her touch burned like fire and ice all at once. "You're home now," she whispered inside my head. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Her hand tightened around my arm, and I swear I felt her fingers sink beneath my skin like they were made of ice and smoke at the same time. My veins burned, blackness spreading under my flesh where she touched me. My knees buckled and I hit the grimy tile floor of that cursed gas station hard. But she didn't let go. Her eyeless face leaned closer, so close I could smell the rot dripping from her dress, and inside my skull I heard her voice, no sound, just words vibrating through my bones. "You stopped for me, Frank. You opened the door. You let us in. You're one of us now." The dead truckers at the counter began to shift, their bones cracking as they turned in unison to face me. Their mouths moved in perfect synchronization. "Drive or rot." They croaked over and over. "Drive or rot. Drive or rot." I struggled against her grip, but it was like fighting concrete. My chest heaved. My head spun. And then, suddenly, her fingers let go. I scrambled backward across the floor, breathing ragged, and slammed against a rack of moldy snack cakes. She straightened up, tilting her featureless head at me. "Go on then. Drive. But you'll never leave." The gas station lights flared, blinding white, and when they died back down, she was gone. So were the dead truckers. The place was empty now, silent except for the buzzing of a single dying fluorescent bulb. My arm throbbed where she grabbed me. I yanked up my sleeve and gagged. Black veins spiderwebbed across my skin, pulsing faintly like they were alive. I bolted out the door and ran for my rig, gravel kicking up under my boots. The trailer lights flickered as I yanked the door open and hauled myself into the cab. The keys were already in the ignition. The engine turned over without me touching them. The CB crackled. Frank, you there? For God's sake, don't stop again, son. It was Big Joe. His voice was strained, panicked. I grabbed the mic. Joe. I saw her. I can't get off this damn road. What the hell's happening to me? Silence. Then a low, broken laugh came through the speaker. You saw her? Then it's already too late. What do you mean too late? I shouted. She marked you, boy. You belong to the highway now. Only one way out, but you ain't gonna like it. Tell me, please. I begged. Static hiss for what felt like forever. Then his voice dropped to a whisper. You gotta take your rig straight into the hollow. Don't fight it. Don't look back. Just hope she don't catch up. The hollow? What the hell is that? I yelled, but the CB went dead. I slammed my fist against the dash, my own voice echoing back at me from everywhere at once. The hollow. The hollow. The hollow. My headlights flared bright, blinding me for a second, and when they dimmed, the highway was gone. No road. No signs. Just blackness stretching out forever in every direction. I pressed the pedal. The rig lurched forward, tires squealing even though there was no asphalt beneath them. The cab shook violently, and I swore I felt hands slapping against the trailer, clawing the metal as the laughter rose again. The radio burst on, every station playing something different. Screams, whispers, a child singing an off-key lullaby. I tried to shut it off, but the knob snapped off in my hand. The laughter grew louder. Then the sky, or what passed for sky in that place, began to shift. Eyes open in the darkness above, thousands of them, all sizes, all staring down at me with burning red irises. F-R-A-N-K, they roared in unison, the sound rattling the glass so hard it cracked. You'll never leave. I pressed the pedal to the floor, knuckles white on the wheel. Shapes loomed in the darkness on either side of the rig, towering things with too many arms and faces that shifted like smoke. One of them leaned down, its massive, grinning mouth stretching from one side of the horizon to the other. It spoke in a voice that made my teeth ache. We built this road for you. Drive it forever. I screamed, but no sound came out. My headlights caught another rig up ahead. Jack knifed it across the blackness. Its trailer was torn open. Cargo spilled out like entrails. As I roared past, I caught a glimpse of the driver slumped over the wheel, his eyes hollow, his mouth twisted in a silent plea for help. His CB mic dangled loose, covered in blood. His logbook sat open on the dash with a single word scrawled across every page in red ink. Hollow. My rig kept accelerating. The speedometer needle buried itself past 120. The black veins on my arm crept further, crawling up my neck. My reflection in the cracked side mirror wasn't mine anymore. Gray skin, hollow eyes, a too wide smile. You're one of us now, the reflection hissed. I screamed again, but this time my reflection didn't. It just grinned wider. I couldn't tear my eyes off that mirror. My reflection grinned back at me, like it already knew how this was going to end, those hollow pits where my eyes should have been glowing faint red now. I ripped the mirror off and threw it down onto the passenger floor, but that grin, it didn't go away. It was still there, on the windshield, on the dash. Every surface reflected back a twisted, grinning version of me, its mouth moving even though I wasn't. Keep driving, Frank. Keep driving or rot. My hands gripped the wheel tighter even as the skin peeled back, knuckles exposed like bleached bone. I couldn't feel them anymore. Couldn't feel anything except the vibration in my chest, like something was crawling through my rib cage. The rig shook harder now, the frame groaning like it was going to tear apart. Outside, the world was collapsing. The blackness churned like boiling tar, eyes opening and closing at random, mouths screaming soundlessly as twisted shapes crawled out of the dark and ran alongside the truck. Some were human-shaped, truckers with gray, cracking skin and wide empty eyes. Others weren't human at all. Things with too many legs, too many mouths, all of them keeping pace effortlessly no matter how fast I went. One slammed a clawed hand onto my trailer door, leaving a smear of something black and oily. Another leapt onto the hood, its face pressed to the glass, skin tight over skull, no nose, teeth like rows of railroad spikes. It spoke without moving its mouth. "Almost there, Frank. Almost home." I screamed and tried to swerve, but the wheel didn't respond. The rig was driving itself now. My foot still pressed to the pedal, even though it wasn't me controlling it. The CB hissed to life again, and for a split second, I thought it was Big Joe. But this voice was different. Younger. Higher. A woman. "Frank, can you hear me?" I froze. Who are you?" Static. Then her voice again. "You don't remember me?" Figures. They don't let you remember, not until it's too late. "What the hell are you talking about?" I shouted. She didn't answer. Just a faint laugh, sad and hollow. "There's no getting off this road, Frank. But there's a way to keep them from taking everything. You gotta finish it." "Finish what?" "The delivery." "Delivery? What delivery?" I yelled, but she was already gone. The CB fell silent. Ahead, the darkness parted for a moment, and I saw it. A truck stop. Massive. Bigger than any I'd ever seen, glowing faintly under a sickly green sky. The sign above it flickered in and out, spelling different words every time it lit up. "Welcome home. Last stop, the Hollow." The lot was full of trucks. Hundreds. Thousands, maybe. Some were rusted hulks with trees growing through them. Others looked brand new, but covered in handprints and claw marks. As I pulled in, I saw a driver sitting in their cabs, some staring straight ahead, others screaming silently, mouths open wide, but no sound coming out. My rig parked itself neatly between two others, the engine cutting out abruptly. Silence. Then the cab door swung open by itself. My body moved without me telling it to. My boots hit the pavement. But it wasn't pavement anymore. The ground was soft, wet, breathing. I looked down and saw faces in the asphalt, their mouths moving soundlessly as I walked over them. "Frank," they whispered. "Help us." I wanted to stop, wanted to turn back, but my legs kept moving, carrying me toward the diner at the center of the truck stop. Its windows glowed faint red. Inside, I could see silhouettes, figures sitting at tables, unmoving. My hand reached for the door, but just before I touched it, I heard it. A horn, long, low, deafening. I spun around and saw headlights in the distance. A massive shape barreling down the road toward the lot. Another truck. No, not a truck. A thing wearing the skin of one. Its grill twisted into a grin. Its wheels leaving trails of black fire. And in the driver's seat, I saw her. The woman in white. Her featureless face tilted toward me as she pressed a horn again. My ears bled. My body froze. And then, all at once, I remembered the accident. A wet road. A figure in white stepping in front of my rig. The sound of metal crumpling. Screams. Fire. Her face. Twisted and burned. Staring at me through the windshield as I bled out behind the wheel. She hadn't let me die. She'd pulled me in. Kept me driving forever. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt tight like a steel band was crushing my ribs, and my knees buckled as that memory crashed over me in waves. The rain-slick highway. The blinding headlights. The sickening sound of bones and glass shattering as my rig plowed into her. And then her face. Her burned, ruined face staring up at me through the crumpled hood. Eyes still alive with something that wasn't human. I remember her lips moving soundlessly as the fire spread around us, swallowing the cab, the trailer, everything. I should have died there. I felt my flesh burn, smelled my own hair catching fire, heard my own screams ripping my throat raw. And then darkness, cold darkness, and her voice whispering, "Drive?" And now here I was, standing on the breathing asphalt of a truck stop that shouldn't exist, staring at a monster of a rig screaming down the black highway toward me. Its grill twisted into a wide, jagged grin, headlights flashing like eyes on fire. The woman in white was still in the driver's seat, her featureless face tilting as if to say, "This is your stop, Frank." I tried to move, but my boots sank into the soft, wet ground. Faces rose out of the asphalt around my feet, their eyeless sockets turned toward me, mouths stretching open impossibly wide to let out soundless screams. The horn blasted again, so loud it rattled my teeth and made the diner windows behind me crack. I threw my hands over my ears, but it didn't help. The sound wasn't just in my ears. It was inside my head, inside my bones. Keep driving, Frank. The monstrous rig was almost on me now, flames licking off its tires as it roared closer. I braced for impact, but at the last second, it swerved violently and jackknifed it to stop inches from where I stood. Heat washed over me like a blast furnace. The door creaked open with a sound like metal screaming. And there she was. The woman in white stepped down, her bare feet sinking into the breathing pavement. Up close, her form seemed to flicker. One moment she was a tattered, barefoot hitchhiker I'd seen on Highway 54. The next, she was a charred corpse with blackened skin hanging in ribbons. Then she was whole again, pale and smooth, like a wax doll. She tilted her head at me, and though she had no eyes, I felt her stare burrow into my skull. "You're late," she said in a voice that wasn't a voice at all. It came from everywhere at once, the ground, the sky, my own mouth. My lips moved against my will, and the words tumbled out like vomit. I made the delivery. She stepped closer. "No, Frank, you are the delivery." Her cold fingers brushed my cheek, and my skin split open under her touch. Black veins spread across my face like cracks in porcelain. "You let me in when you stopped. Now you're mine. You'll keep driving. Forever." The diner doors behind me slammed open. More truckers stumbled out, hollow-eyed, their mouths hanging open, skin sagging like melted wax. They surrounded me, whispering in unison, "Keep driving, Frank. Keep driving. Keep driving." Their hands reached out, cold and clammy, gripping my arms, my shoulders, my neck. I tried to fight, but they were too strong. One by one, they forced me to my knees. I felt the ground ripple beneath me, the faces in the asphalt twisting and laughing. The woman in white leaned down until her smooth, featureless face was inches from mine. "This is your route now," she whispered. "No logbooks, no rest stops, no delivery deadlines. Just drive." And then I was back in my cab. No memory of climbing in. My hands clutched the wheel, my foot pressed to the floor. The engine roared. The headlights cut through endless black. The CB crackled to life, but it wasn't Big Joe anymore. It was my own voice, warped and hollow. "Keep driving, Frank. Don't ever stop." I screamed, but it came out as static. My reflection in the windshield grinned back at me, gray-skinned and hollow-eyed. I wasn't me anymore. I was one of them. Another ghost on an endless highway, hauling nothing for no one, never stopping, never sleeping, never dying. Outside, the hollow stretched on forever. The road twisted and writhed like a living thing, and I could see other rigs in the distance. Thousands of them, all driven by hollow-eyed truckers just like me. Some screamed, some laughed, some sat silent, staring straight ahead as their tires burned across the shifting asphalt. And above us all, in that black sky filled with watching eyes, her voice boomed like a thunderclap. "Keep driving." I didn't think it could get worse. I didn't think there was anything left in me to break. But I was wrong. As the rig screamed down the endless black highway, I started to forget things. Little things at first. My favorite diner back in Amarillo, the name of my first truck, the color of my wife's eyes. I gripped the wheel harder, trying to hold on to something. But every mile I drove felt like another piece of me was stripped away and tossed into the void. The radio buzzed with voices, but they weren't mine anymore. "Frank, don't stop, don't stop. Keep driving. You're almost home. Home, home, home." The voices layered over each other like a chorus of damned souls, growing louder with every passing second. I glanced at the GPS out of habit, even though it had been dead for miles. But now it wasn't. The cracked screen flickered faintly, showing a single word blinking in red. Hollow. I slammed my fist against the dash, trying to wake myself up, to snap out of whatever hell this was. But my reflection in the windshield only grinned wider, its teeth too sharp, too many. You ain't waking up, Frank, it hissed. You've been here since the crash. You belong to her now. No, I shouted, my voice cracking. I'm not done. I still got routes to run. I still got a life out there. The laughter that answered was deafening. The rig shook violently as something massive slammed onto the trailer roof. Claws scraped metal. Heavy footsteps thudded across the top of the cab. I saw a pale hand with fingers like railroad spikes slap against my side window, leaving a streak of black ichor, then a face pressed against the glass, featureless except for a gaping mouth that stretched wider and wider until it covered the whole pane. Drive, Frank, it screamed, or become part of the road. I floored it. The speedometer needle buried itself, spinning wildly as the scenery melted into a blur of black and red. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw other trucks. Hundreds, thousands. Some were rusted skeletons barely held together by wire and hope. Others gleamed like they just rolled off the lot. But every cab held a driver with hollow eyes and a fixed grin. Some waved as I passed. Others just watched, mouths moving silently in warnings I couldn't hear. Then I heard it again. The horn, low and long, shaking the whole highway. Ahead, the road opened into a massive chasm, glowing faintly like the mouth of hell itself. Tendrils of darkness coiled up from it, writhing like snakes. I tried to swerve, but the wheel didn't respond. The rig barreled forward, tires screaming, and I realized what was happening. She's taking me in. The CB crackled. A voice cut through the static. There's one calm, steady, almost human. Frank, you still in there? Who is this? I croaked, my throat raw. Name's Earl. Been driving these roads a long time. Longer than I can remember. You don't have to let her take you. I can't stop. I shouted. I can't. I'm not in control anymore. You can fight, Frank, but you gotta want it. She feeds on the ones who give up. Don't let her hollow you out. The chasm yawned wider ahead. I could see shapes writhing in the pit. Faces, hands, entire rigs sinking into darkness like bugs caught in tar. Tell me how. I screamed into the mic. Earl's voice dropped to a whisper. Jump the rig. Full throttle. Don't look down. If you make it, you might find a way out. If you don't, well, you're roadkill either way. The laughter returned, louder than ever, shaking the glass. The woman in white appeared in the middle of the highway ahead, her arms outstretched, her featureless face turned upward like she was welcoming me home. Jump, Earl whispered. I slammed the pedal down so hard my foot went numb. The rig roared like a beast and shot forward. I gripped the wheel, muscles straining, veins bulging black beneath my skin. As I hit the edge of the chasm, the woman's voice filled the cab, sweet and venomous. You can't leave, Frank. You're mine. The rig launched off the edge. For a moment, there was silence, weightlessness. I felt like I was floating. Then I saw it. Below me, an endless expanse of faces screaming up at me from the darkness. Hands reaching, clawing. Eyes glowing red. Don't look down. Earl roared in my head. I forced my gaze forward. The other side of the chasm was coming up fast. The rig tilted nose first, and for a heartbeat, I thought I wasn't going to make it. Then tires hit asphalt with a bone-jarring thud. The cab shuddered. The trailer slammed down behind me, sending a shock wave through the frame. I made it, or so I thought. The road ahead wasn't black anymore. It was red. Veins pulsed beneath the surface like I was driving on living flesh. Shapes moved in the fog ahead. Humanoid figures, their bodies twisted, stretched, melting into the pavement itself. And up ahead, a single sign flickered faintly in the gloom. No exit, the CB hissed. Earl's voice was faint now, like he was far away. You're not free yet, Frank. But you've got a chance. Find the hollow heart. Burn it down, or you'll be driving these roads until the sun dies. The laughter came back, softer now, closer, right behind my ear. Drive, Frank. You're almost there. The road throbbed under my wheels like it had a heartbeat of its own, a low bass thump vibrating to the cab, up my arms, into my chest. I gripped the wheel tighter as veins, black, slick, pulsing, snaked across the asphalt ahead, riding like living things. The air smelled thick and coppery, like blood left to rot in the sun. Every mile I drove, I heard them, voices whispering just under the roar of my engine. Some sounded like old CB chatter, truckers calling out at each other, but warped wrong, overlapping in 1,000 layers like a swarm of insects buzzing in my skull. Keep driving, don't stop. No brakes, no brakes. The sign flickered in the distance again, and oh, exit. I slammed my fist against the dash. Teeth gritted so hard my jaw ached. There's got to be a way out. There's got to be. The CB crackled. Earl's voice came through faintly, distorted like he was talking from the bottom of a deep well. Frank, they'll send others to stop you now. Drivers who gave up. Hollowed out. You see them, you don't slow down. Or they'll drag you out of that cab and feed you to the road. Before I could answer, lights flared in my side mirrors. Headlights. 2, no, 3 rigs falling behind me. Engines screaming like tortured animals. Their horns blared in perfect unison, the sound so loud it made the glass vibrate. I squinted and caught glimpses of their drivers in the mirrors. Hollow-eyed, skin stretched tight over skulls, smiles carved too wide to be human. One of them pressed its gray face against its windshield, teeth clattering together as it hissed. Join us, Frank. Stop fighting. I floored it. My rig lurched forward, tires spitting chunks of flesh-like asphalt behind me. The other trucks followed effortlessly, their engines roaring like they were alive, like they were hunting. The road twisted sharply, dipping into a valley where skeletal trees clawed at the sky. Shadows darted between them, too fast, too big, some with antlers, some with dozens of glinting eyes. I didn't dare look too long. Earl's voice came back, louder now. Frank, the hollow heart's ahead. You'll know it when you see it. Get there. Burn it. It's your only shot. Burn it. I shouted into the mic with what? But Earl was gone again. Up ahead, the road split. One path curved left, a narrow, crumbling lane choked with fog. The other veered right, lined with flickering red lights like eyes. My hands twitched on the wheel, fighting each other, one trying to pull left, the other right. The rigs behind me were closer now, their grills practically kissing my trailer doors. One of them rammed me hard enough to make the cab lurch. I held the wheel steady, sweat pouring down my face. Then a voice, not Earl's, not the woman's, but my own voice, hissed in my ear. Left as pain, right as death. Choose, Frank. I yanked hard left. The rig screamed as it skidded onto the crumbling lane. Chunks of blacktop falling into the void below. The headlights behind me vanished. Silence again, except for the sound of something breathing in the fog. The road narrowed to barely more than truck width. Branches clawed at my mirrors, scraping long gashes into the paint. I heard whispers all around me now. Low, hissing. Frank, we know you, we remember you. Shapes moved in the fog. Faces half-formed, eyes glinting, hands reaching. I kept my foot on the gas. No, you're not real. You're not real. A shape stepped into my headlights. A little girl, blonde hair, pink dress soaked in blood, one arm hanging limp at her side, her head tilted at an impossible angle, eyes black as oil. Daddy, why didn't you stop? She whispered. My chest tightened like a vice. I slammed my eyes shut and floored it. There was a sickening thump as the rig hit her. The cab jolted violently, but when I opened my eyes, the road was empty again. No blood, no body. You can't save her, the whispers mocked. You can't save anyone. The fog began to lift, and I saw it. Up ahead, a massive building rising out of the road itself like it had grown there. A cathedral made of rusted metal and broken truck parts. Its spires were exhaust stacks belching black smoke. Its walls were covered in writhing figures, truckers, their bodies fused to steel, their faces twisted in silent screams. Above the cathedral door, a neon sign flickered faintly. Hollow Heart. The rig rolled to a stop on its own. The engine died. The dashboard lights went out. Silence. The CB hissed one last time. Earl's voice, barely more than a whisper now. This is it, Frank. Go in. Finish it. Or drive forever. The cab door swung open, and a gust of freezing wind hit me like a fist. The woman in white stood at the cathedral entrance, her head tilted, arms spread wide. Welcome home, Frank, she said. You're right on time for your delivery. I swung my boots out of the cab, but the ground wasn't solid anymore. It was warm, soft. It pulsed faintly under my feet, like I was standing on a massive living organ. My stomach churned as I forced myself forward, the Hollow Heart towering over me like some hellish cathedral built from the corpses of trucks and drivers alike. The walls writhed as if they were breathing. Human faces stretching out of the rusted steel and disappearing again with soundless screams. The woman in white stood in the doorway, her tattered dress billowing in a wind I couldn't feel. Her head tilted as I approached, the featureless expanse of her face reflecting faint red light from the endless rows of rig headlights surrounding the place. I stopped a few feet from her, my hands clenched so tight I felt my nails digging into my palms. Why me? I managed to rasp, my throat raw. She tilted her head the other way. Because you stopped. You let me in. Her voice wasn't sound. It was pressure, vibrations rattling my ribs. You hit me, Frank, on that rainy night. You didn't see me. Or maybe you did, but you didn't care. I stammered. It wasn't my fault. You stepped out of nowhere. You didn't stop, she said again. You kept driving, like you always do. I felt my knees buckle. The memory slammed into me full force. The way I gritted my teeth, muttering, "Can't stop, behind schedule," as the figure darted into my high beams. The sickening impact. The brief glimpse of her body tumbling off the shoulder as I kept my rig rolling, praying no one had seen. You left me there, she whispered, so I left you here. The cathedral door behind her creaked open. Inside, it was pitch black except for faint orange glows, like coals burning in the dark. I could hear engines rumbling. Faint CB chatter warped into low moans. You have a choice, Frank, she said. Join the others. Take your seat. Drive forever. Or, she raised a hand, and the black veins in my arms flared, throbbing violently. My skin cracked like old leather. Burn with us. I stumbled backward, but the ground beneath me shifted. Faces rose up, their mouths stretching wide. Hands shot out, gripping my boots, my ankles. I thrashed, but more hands appeared, grabbing my legs, my waist, pulling me down. The woman in white watched silently, her head cocked, as I sank chest deep into the living asphalt. A voice boomed in my skull. Not hers, not Earl's, but a chorus of thousands. Be one with the road. No. I screamed, clawing at the ground. My fingers tore through the squirming, fleshy surface as more arms shot up to grab me. I won't drive for you. I won't. Something hot brushed against my fingertips. My Zippo. I'd carried it for years, a gift from my dad when I first hit the road. The chrome was scorched, dented, but it felt real, solid, mine. I yanked it out, flicked it open, and struck the wheel. A tiny flame sputtered to life, flickering weakly against the sucking darkness. The woman in white hissed, her featureless face rippling, as if something inside her was trying to claw its way out. Don't, she roared, her voice shaking the entire cathedral. I held the flame high. If I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. I slammed the Zippo into the asphalt. Fire exploded outward in a blinding wave, consuming the hands, the faces, the walls. The hollow heart shrieked, a sound so loud and raw it made my ears bleed. I felt the hands let go as the ground beneath me cracked and split, flames shooting up like geysers. The truckers fused into the walls began to writhe and scream, their hollow eyes filling with fire. The woman in white staggered back, her smooth face tearing open to reveal rows of blackened teeth. Her body convulsed violently, cracking apart as smoke poured from her mouth and eyes. "You can't leave!" she screeched, her voice layered with thousands of others. "You're one of us, one of US." I stumbled toward my rig, flames licking at my boots. The cab door swung open as if inviting me. I hauled myself inside and slammed it shut. The engine roared to life, headlights blazing through the inferno. The CB crackled, Earl's voice weak but steady. "You did it, son. Now drive." I floored the pedal. The rig screamed forward, tires burning as they hit the collapsing road. The hollow heart crumbled behind me, its walls folding inward like a dying star. The woman in white let out one last inhuman wail before the flames swallowed her whole. The road ahead twisted violently, tearing itself apart. I didn't let up. The dashboard lights flared bright white. My mirrors shattered. The windshield cracked. Then blinding light. Silence. I blinked. The cab was still. The dashboard was dark. Outside, birds were chirping. The sun was rising over a normal two-lane highway. My hands shook as I reached for the ignition. It was cold to the touch. My GPS flickered to life, showing a familiar route heading home. The CB crackled softly. Earl's voice calmed now. "You made it out, Frank, but don't ever stop watching your mirrors. She's out there, waiting." I swallowed hard, put the rig in gear, and eased back onto the road. But in the mirror, just for a second, I saw her, the woman in white, standing by the roadside, her featureless face watching me. I blinked. She was gone. The highway stretched ahead, endless as ever. And deep down, I knew I wasn't really free. Not yet. I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself it was over. The hollow heart burned in my mind like a nightmare I couldn't shake. But outside the windshield, it was just a road, just a plain old highway stretching into the morning light. Birds flew overhead. The air smelled like rain instead of blood and ash. My knuckles were white on the wheels I drove, afraid to even blink in case it all vanished, and I was back in that pulsing black void. The CB crackled again, Earl's voice soft and distant, like he was sitting a million miles away. "Keep your eyes forward, Frank. Don't look back." I nodded to no one. Yeah, I hear you." But my foot felt heavy on the pedal. Too heavy. I eased off, but the speedometer needle didn't budge. It hovered at 65, no matter what I did. A chill crept up my spine. I reached for brakes. The pedal sank to the floor with no resistance. Nothing. My palms were slick with sweat now. No, not again. Then I caught it, a shape in the mirror, small at first, a white speck by the roadside. My stomach dropped. As I sped past, I saw her, the woman in white. Her tattered dress hung limp, stained black in places. Her featureless face tilted as I flew by. Not real, not real, I muttered, gripping the wheel so hard my fingers hurt. A mile later, she was there again, this time standing in the middle of a cornfield, her head snapping toward me as I passed. Then I saw her ahead of me, standing right in the middle of the highway. No! I screamed, wrenching the wheel hard. The rig jackknifed, tires screaming as the trailer swung out across the lanes. I closed my eyes, bracing for impact, but there was no sound, no crash, nothing. When I opened my eyes, the rig was parked neatly on the shoulder. The engine idled softly, and everything was still, too still. The road ahead was empty. The sky was wrong. It wasn't blue anymore. It was gray, flat, and endless like wet cement. The trees were wrong, too, bent at odd angles, their branches twitching slightly like they were breathing. The CB burst to life with static, so loud it made me flinch. Then a voice, not Earl's, not even human. You thought you could leave. I felt my chest tighten. No, I burned it down. I made it out. Did you? The voice hissed. The GPS flickered. The screen was blank except for a single word blinking red over and over, recalculating. Then the rig lurched forward on its own. The wheel spun under my hands. The headlights flared, illuminating the road as it twisted into impossible angles, hairpin turns that bent into loops, sections where the asphalt dropped away into black pits filled with writhing shapes. The dashboard clock blinked 3:33. Again. No, I whispered. Not again. But deep down I knew. I never left. The hollow wasn't a place. It was a state, a loop, a trap wrapped around my soul like barbed wire. And the woman in white's voice whispered in my ear, "Keep driving, Frank. You've still got miles to go." I screamed, but it came out as static. The rig's horn blared without me touching it, a long, mournful note that echoed into the gray sky. Ahead, faint headlights appeared through the fog. Another rig, then another, then hundreds, all of them moving in the same endless loop, their drivers hollow-eyed and grinning. I slammed my fist on the wheel. I won't do it. I won't drive forever. But the voices answered in unison, a deafening chorus. Yes, you will. The road stretched on. No signs. No exits. Just me, my rig, and an eternity of asphalt,